Hello. Welcome to Crochet Along with Hannah. I am with the Upper Chichester Library and I'm coming at you today. We're going to be doing the Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket. I have one behind me so that you can see it. It is a 12-pointed star blanket. This will be here, not hanging on my bookcase, but it'll be at the library for a little bit. If you need to stop by and look at it so you can compare it, or if you have any questions, stop by and see me. I found this pattern on Ravelry. It is here. I did print copies of it. You can come pick it up along with one of our crochet kits to go. We have a lot of neat little programs coming up. I'm going to get all the commercials out of the way, and then we're going to get to the crochet project. December 8th, we have a holiday wreath making class that is through Zoom. If you would like to be a part of that, you can email director@upperchichesterlibrary.org and she will send you the Zoom link for that. It is free to participate, and I believe they're going to be putting together kits so you can, when they're ready, you can come by and pick them up. If you sign up for the Zoom, we will get a hold of you when it's time. If you leave your, email us with your contact information, we'll get a hold of you when the kits are ready to be picked up. Also, we have a holiday Jingle Bells gift bag raffle. It is 3 designer purses, 3 different winners. There is a beautiful Coach bag, a Michael Kors bag, and my favorite is the Kate Spade bag. It's blue. Everybody knows blue's the best. Yeah, so they are here. We are raffling those off. The raffle winners will be chosen at the end of the township's holiday parade, which will be around 8 o'clock on Saturday, December 11th. The tickets are $5 for one or 3 for 10. You can stop by here and pick up a couple of tickets. They would make nice holiday gifts if you don't carry the purses yourselves. I mean, they're really nice bags. They're here. We have a few other things that are going on. We have Mr. Andrews live stream every Tuesday. He live streams through his Facebook page, which we will share on our page on Tuesdays. That's free to watch, sit the kids in front of it. He sings, he dances, he tells stories. He's awesome. Your kids will love him. Everybody loves Mr. Andrew. So tune in for Mr. Andrew. Tomorrow, Miss Teresa has one of her art party lives. So if you want one of those kits, give us a call. We'll have one ready for you. She will be live streaming at 10:30 tomorrow morning, right here on Facebook, with a craft, as she always does, and she does awesome. We also have a few other things in the works. We will get to those. We will announce those as they happen, as we get more information. So there's that. Sorry, I had to bring up the. Why did I pause? I will. I have to moderate now through my phone. I have to keep an eye on the comments because somebody didn't behave. So we have to take care of that. All right, we're going to get to this pattern. Again, you can stop by the library to pick up one of these crochet to go kits. It comes with a beginner's guide in case you've never crocheted before. There's a couple of different beginner's guides with different definitions of things. Every pattern that I have taught in the past 5 or 6 sessions or so is in this kit also, including the one that we're going to be doing today, which is the Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket. But all the patterns are here, including the one that we're doing next. It's a neck cowl. It's really nice. I can't wait to do that class. That is my favorite thing for the winter. It is warm and it looks nice under a coat. It doesn't have like loose ends that are getting caught in zipper. It's really nice. So the patterns are in there. We also will include a skein of yarn, which we have an assortment of colors. There's like, you can just pick whatever one you want. And then I don't know why my live stream keeps getting interrupted. I'm sorry if I'm buffering. It says on my screen that I am not keeping my nonsense together today. Okay, I'm going to center pull this out. This is what I mean. See this? It's a mess. Sometimes the center skein of yarn is a mess. And you got to fiddle with it a little bit, but it doesn't usually take too much. And if it does, get a pair of scissors. But yeah, you'll get a skein of yarn. That's Brava. It's from Knit Picks. And it doesn't matter what brand you get. They're all going to, if they have a center pull, there's a good chance they're going to be all messy in the middle. The kits also come with a crochet hook. I ran out of the pretty bamboo ones. I'm sorry. But we do have plenty of hooks here. They are metal. They work fine. I like a good metal hook. They don't break as easy as the bamboo ones do. But we are very grateful that Knit Picks has been so good to us with, they donated so far since the beginning of these live streams, they've donated 150 skeins of yarn to our cause, and then we had Bead Park, which generously donated all the crochet hooks. And, you know, without companies like that, we've had generous donations from Red Heart and Lion Brand and Barocco. We have an amazing support throughout our US-based crochet companies. They have been amazing to us. They are the reason why we can bring these kits to you for free. So when you're shopping for yarn, keep that in mind, that there are companies out there that do give back, which is great to see. This one I made with Karen. They've donated to us as well, because Karen and a few of the other brands are all joint with one big company now. This is a confetti baby yarn that I started with, and the rest of these are all Karen's Simple Soft. You can get that. You can do any color variation that you like. I recently finished a 12-pointed star blanket that was 7 different shades of blue. And I just alternated the blues as I went out. You can do this a single color, all one color. It looks great. Go out, get one of the cakes of whatever brand you want, so it changes color on its own. This is a very versatile blanket. It's easy to do. I think this is a lot easier than doing a rectangle ripple, like your traditional ripple, or, you know, chevron stripe. I think this is a lot easier to do. It's in the round instead of worrying about your pattern doing this on a triangle piece. I've done that. It's very easy to do. But yeah, this pattern calls for Barocco. That's a good yarn brand. Again, you can use any worsted weight yarn you want. Everything I give out is worsted weight in acrylic. Hypoallergenic, easy to maintain. It tells you to use an H hook, which is what I give out. You could go get the big blue, the big fuzzy fleece yarn if you want. Just make sure you get the hook that corresponds with that. Look on the package of the yarn. It will tell you, like here, this is a number 4, so that's worsted. And if you look next to it or under it, it usually tells you like what size hooks you should look for. Again, this is worsted weight with an H hook. It works up just fine. If you want to get a thicker yarn, go for it. It'll work up quicker and you won't have to do as many rows. You can make this blanket as big as you want to. That is the beauty of this pattern. It's a baby blanket, so, it gives you instructions for so many rows, but you can continue that cycle afterwards. So we're going to start by creating this is going to call for a magic circle. but you can use the method I explained in my last video if you're not comfortable with the magic circle. What I like to do is I will chain 2 and then put my rounds into my first stitch. I kind of, you know, just loosen it up a little bit. And then we go back. Actually, we need to chain 4 with this one. Excuse me a second. Sometimes I need to think for a minute before I speak. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We've chained 4. Actually, I chained 5, excuse me. And we are going to put 11 double crochets in that first stitch. So chain 4. And then I'm going to go back into the first chain that I made, and I am going to put 11 double crochets in there. Sometimes when I do these tutorials, you're going to see that chain together, or, you know, the slip stitch with chain 2 or chain 3 isn't going to count as a stitch. In this pattern, it definitely does. This counts as a stitch. So be mindful of that. You're going to have a total of 12 stitches when you finish the circle. You're just going to continue to, if you've made a hat, you can make this. This is simple. We're just going to, and in case you're new, which you should not be starting with this pattern if you're a brand new crocheter, but if you're attempting it, more power to you. I do have other videos. If you look at either of the scarf videos I did, you'll be able to see that there are description is how to get started. But, you know, in the off chance that you've never done it before, I'm going to explain the double crochet. I should have explained the chain and the slip knot, but I did not. My apologies. You're just going to yarn over, go into your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, or pull through, drop your loop. You got 3 on a hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is your double crochet. We are going to do, like I said, 11 total double crochets. You're going to have a total of 12 stitches because you count your chain 3 that's left. I need to stop and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need to do a few more. 10, 11. It is really difficult to keep track of stitch count when you're teaching, for sure. If somebody else knows how to teach and keep count at the same time, more power to you, but I do not. All right, so we've started our circle. Again, we have our little Pac-Man like we did when we started our hat. We are going to slip stitch into our chain, top of our chain 3. That closes off the circle. And for round 2, we are going to chain 2. And right in the same stitch, I'm going to tilt this down a little so you can see. Right where we slip stitched, we are going to go back into that. And we are going to put another double crochet in there. And every stitch here, there's a total of 12 stitches. We are going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch. So we're going to end up with a total of 24 stitches. We have 2 done now. So you're going to go around and finish that off. your other 22 stitches. You're going to end up with 24. So we have 2 done, and I am going to put 2 in the next stitch. 1, this is our second one. This is another pattern where you want to be mindful of your tension. You don't want to crochet too tight, especially making a blanket. If your tension is way too tight making a blanket, that thing is not going to survive its first wash, and it's going to rip. Tension is key. You need to get if you crochet way too tight, go up a hook size. It'll help. Again, just complete that all the way around. Do 2 double crochets in the top of each stitch. Go into a new stitch. There's 1. You want to go back into the same one you were just in. Put the second one. You're going to move on to the next one. I'm trying to be mindful of my laptop battery. If I have to like grab this computer and run and plug it in, I apologize. But sometimes things happen. Okay. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. 2. 1. Okay, that's 2. Move on. 1. 2. We're almost there. Once you reach the end of this circle, again, it's going to do the little Pac-Man thing. Just count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. We have finished. You're going to, again, slip stitch in the top of your chain 2. Again, you're going to chain 2. That is closed off. It is a closed circle. Don't mind this tail at the end. This is why I give you a darning needle. You can sew this back through your work when you're done. For round 3, we're going to skip 1 space. So you're not going to crochet in the spot where you slip stitched. You're not going to crochet in the stitch next to that. You want to leave a gap. So you're going to go 1 over. So don't go where you're not going here because this is where we already crocheted. You're not crocheting in the one next to it. You're going to go in that second one from your stitch. You're going to work in 1 double crochet. Like that. And yes, there's supposed to be a gap right there. As you can see, there are spaces where, and it will follow a pattern, like little pizza slices. you're going to chain 2 after you double crochet into that stitch, 1, 2, and you're going to go back into the same space you just double crocheted, and you're going to double crochet 1 more time. This is what is going to start what we call our peaks. When you're making a ripple, let me figure out, okay. This right here is a peak. This is what that just started. Down here, that's, you know, the valley, you know, the peaks and the valleys. We're going to skip stitches there. We'll get to that in a couple of rows from now. But you see it creates like a V shape. That's called a V stitch, actually. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. So you're going to skip a stitch, and then you're going to go in and you're going to, every other stitch, you're going to go into double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to yarn over and you're going to double crochet in that same spot. One, 2, then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, you're going to skip a stitch and you're going to do another V stitch. So double crochet, chain 2, back into the same hole, double crochet, and you're going to move on. Skip a stitch, don't go, skip 1 stitch, and you can see what I'm talking about in just a second. Let me finish the stitch. We're going to double crochet, chain 2, yarn over, double crochet into that same stitch. I'm going to draw up a loop. And that is what we're doing. You see, we're putting our V stitches in. This was our chain 2, right? Oh, you can't see me. Hold on, excuse me. That's our chain 2. We skipped that stitch. We put a V stitch in here, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. We skip the stitch, and we just repeat that all the way around. It's going to start to look like a little wagon wheel. The star shape will happen eventually. I promise you, it takes a little bit for the shape to start to emerge, you know. Small waves in a big ocean. It's baby stepping it. But we'll get there. Just down a little bit so you can see me. Okay, again, skip a stitch, go in, do your V stitch, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, skip a stitch, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, skip a stitch, chain 2, do it in there, chain 2, yarn over, double crochet, skip a stitch, do the same thing, double crochet, 1, chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet, yarn over, go into your stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2 more, yarn over, skip a stitch, go into the next one, double crochet, 1, 2, and 2, go into the next, skip a stitch, go into that one, yarn over, chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go into your stitch, add a double crochet, and we have met our end. You'll know because there will be a space in between your starting chain and that, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go back into my starting chain, into that double crochet. I am going to put a double crochet there in the same stitch where we slip stitched. I'm going to chain 2, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my chain 2 from the beginning of the round. This will close off that V. It will complete the pattern and make our work nice and even. See, it looks like a little wagon wheel. This is why I said, if you can make a hat, you can make this, because this is the same process as starting up a hat is making this blanket. Except for now we've got little V stitches all the way around. This is how we begin our star shape. So for round 4, we are going to, we've already slip stitched to close off that round. We are going to slip stitch again, but not in the same space. We are going to go into that first chain 2 space. We're going to yarn over, and we are going to, excuse me, random hiccup. We're going to slip stitch into our chain 2 space, and then we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to put another double crochet in our chain 2 space. Right, so we're working in the chain 2 space. We're going to fill it in. From here, we've got our first 2 double crochets. We are going to chain 2. And we are going to put 2 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. 1, 2. Congratulations, you just completed your first large shell of this pattern. And as you can see, all of that is in one chain 2 space. This is our chain 2 space right here. We just made this whole shell in that one chain 2 space. And we are not going to chain. We are going to go right into our next chain 2 space, which is not here. You're going to look for the V or the Roman numeral 5. That's where you want to crochet into. This one is a little upside down. You're not going to crochet into that one. You're going to crochet into your, so this one, no, you want to crochet into this one. We're going to double crochet right into there. You're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2, chain 2, 2 double crochets, 1, 2, go right into the next chain 2 space, do the same thing, another large cell, 1, 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to put 2 double crochets right in the same chain 2 space. So 1, go right into that chain 2 space again, 2, see, we've got 3 of them done now. It's going to start to look like a flower this round, I'm not going to lie. The first few rounds, it takes a while for it to start its shape. You've got to create the peaks and valleys in order to see it really pop. But we're getting there. This is the beginning stages of those. So just, okay, again, go into the next chain 2 space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, continue working in that same chain 2 space. We're going to put 2 more double crochet. We're just going to complete this process all the way around. This pattern for this blanket is just a repetitive set of stitches that you repeat throughout your round. And it's nice because once you get that repetition down, it's easy to just mindlessly crochet. I've made these watching TV and traveling and doing all kinds of stuff. So again, chain 2, crochet into that same chain 2 space, 1, 2. We're going to work in our, oops, I accidentally chained. Do not chain between your shelves. It will throw off the pattern. Go into the next chain 2 space, work a large shell into there. And the stitches are explained in the pattern too. She'll tell you the difference between a large shell and a smaller shell. The smaller shell is the V-stitch, where it's just 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. The large shell is 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, all in the same stitch. The only time it differs is when you're creating a new round and you're slip stitching into the top of your last. Okay, keep going. It seems tedious and time consuming, but this is probably one of my favorite things to make. Because like I said, you can make them any size you want. The one behind me is roughly somewhere between 5 and 6 feet. I finished one for a really good friend of mine. Like I said, not too long ago, it was 7 different shades of blue. And that one was about 8 feet, big enough to fit a king size bed. So, excuse me for looking down. I am just trying to moderate who is in here doing what. Okay. Everybody's still hanging in there. All right. Keep doing your large shells in your chain 2 spaces. 1, 2. 1, 2. Go into the next chain 2, do the same thing, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, 1, 2, move on to the next one, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 1, 2, same chain 2 space, put 2 more double crochets, 1, 2, you're going to go into the next one, 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, double crochet 2 more times, 1, 2, and you have one more that you're going to crochet into. So again, you are going to double crochet, double crochet, chain 2, 1, stuck 2, put 2 more right here, 1, 2. Now we are going to slip knot into the top of our second chain. So 1, 2, go up, slip stitch right into there. Now, excuse me, we're on to the second page. We are going to slip stitch, not in the chain 2 space, but into the stitch right next to the one we just slip knotted in, or slip stitched in. We're going to slip stitch right into that. There is a reason for that. Don't skip this part. It seems odd, but it lines everything up for our peaks and valleys. So when you finish round 4, you want to slip stitch in the top of the chain 2 space. Slip stitch into the stitch next to that also. We're working our way over to this chain 2 space. You don't want to skip those slip stitches. It's a mess if you do. So now we're going to yarn over and we're going to double crochet into that chain 2 space. 1, 2. Ooh, I forgot to chain 2. Don't forget that either. All right, so after you've slip stitched into those 2 stitches, your first one to join your round, and then you slip stitched into the stitch next to that, you want to chain 2. This is going to count as a double crochet. Like I said, these count in this round, in this pattern. Then you're going to slip stitch, or not slip stitch. I cannot word today, excuse me. You're going to double crochet into that chain 2 space, and I'm going to show you what that does. It starts, like, again, to build your little peaks and valleys. So we have our 2 double crochets in our chain 2 space, but we also have this chain 2. So now we've created an extra stitch by doing that. And you're going to yarn over and chain 2, and we're going to put 2 more double crochets in that chain 2 space. 1. This is where it starts to get tricky with this pattern, and people tend to get frustrated, but I promise you it is worth the pain in the butt. So we have our first stitch was our chain 2. We put 2 stitches into the chain 2 space, we chain 2, we put 2 more stitches in our chain 2 space. Now I'm going to yarn over, and that first stitch after our chain 2 space, we are going to double crochet in. That completes the pattern we started on the other side. We've got 3 stitches, chain 2, 3 stitches. 2 of the block, because you've got your chain 2, your large shell, and then a stitch next to it. We're going to stick, excuse me, I cannot talk today. Skip the next 2 stitches. That's going to create our valley now. And we are going to yarn over and double crochet into the top of the stitch right before our chain 2 space. So we're going to double crochet into there. And then we are going to do a large shell in the next chain 2 space. 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, 2 more double crochets in the top of that chain 2 space. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the stitch next to that chain 2 space. So at this point you should have 3 stitches, chain 2, 3 stitches. That is the pattern that we're repeating on this set of peaks and valleys. You're going to skip the 2 stitches, 1, 2 here, and you're going to put a double crochet in the top of that stitch. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to make your large shell in that chain 2 space. 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, finish that large shell, do 2 more chain double crochets. I cannot talk today. Double crochet in the stitch next to that, and we're going to skip, I can never tell what I'm showing, the next 2 stitches, not here, but right here. I'm going to crochet right there, and you're going to double crochet into there. And you're going to make your large shell in that chain 2 space. Chain 2. Finish your large shell, 2 double crochets. Double crochet in the stitch next to that. Skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet in the top of that next post. Do another large shell. 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, 2 double crochets, 1, 2. We're going to yarn over, double crochet in the next stitch, skip 2 stitches, double crochet in the 3rd stitch, 1, and then we're going to do a large shell, 1, 2, chain 2, 2 more in that chain 2 space, 1, 2, double crochet in the post next to the chain 2 space, skip 2 stitches, double crochet into that 3rd stitch, 1, and then to do our large shell in the next chain 2 space. So it's 2 double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, 2 double crochet, put a double crochet in that next stitch next to that chain 2 space, skip 2 stitches, go into that 3rd stitch, 1, and then we're going to do another large shell, 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space, 1, 2, put 1 double crochet in that next post, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, go into top of that 3rd stitch, 1 double crochet, and again you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. One, 2, skip 2 stitches, crochet in the top of that 3rd stitch, make, and then another large shell, There's a really big truck outside just now. I'm sorry if that made a lot of noise. This is what happens when you're nestled in the middle of a shopping center. You get all the outside noises too. Skip 2 stitches and then single double crochet in that next stitch. Again, make another large shell. I'm going to go over a couple more rounds with you because at this point it just starts to repeat. So however, the further I go out in my rounds, the longer it's going to take me to get around and the longer this video is going to get. And I try to keep them under an hour. Sometimes I have to go over. Again, put a double crochet in the stitch next to that chain 2 space. Skip 2 stitches. Go into that 3rd stitch and put in a double crochet. And then work a large shell into the chain 2 space next to that stitch. 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to finish your large shell with 2 more double crochets in that cluster. And then you're going to put a double crochet in the stitch next to that. And then we are done that round. We are going to slip stitch in the top of our chain 2 space. That was the end of row 5. We joined that. Now again, we are not going to chain 2 right away. We are going to slip stitch into the stitch right next to where we just slip stitched. And from there, we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. The gist of all of this is every row you're going to increase a stitch. So in the last row, we had 3 stitches up, chain 2, 3 stitches down. You will see that in this one, we are going to start double crocheting into the stitches all the way up to that chain 2 space. We're going to crochet in every stitch up to that. But the gist is every valley we're going to skip 2 stitches. Every peak we're either going to use a large shell or a small shell. This pattern will indicate which row you're on. Pay attention to what row you're on. It'll follow the instructions, and once you reach the end of the pattern, you are going to alternate your rows according to the way you have been. You'll get the repetition. You'll end up doing 2 rounds of large shell stitches, 1 round of small shell stitches, and that alternates. 2 large, 1 small, 2 large, 1 small, and that'll work itself, and that gives you a nice peak and a nice valley. It distinguishes that, so you do need to alternate between those every few rows. We are going to, what are we doing? A small? Nope. This one is also a large. We're going to work a large shell into this. So we're going to chain 2 because I already double crocheted twice into my chain 2 space. We're going to finish off our large shell. 1, 2, 1 more. 1, 2. Okay. Pay attention. 2 stitches. 1 here in this stitch, and the stitch right next to that chain 2 space we just finished working our shell into. You're going to crochet in this double crochet into the stitch next to that. Then we've reached our valley, so we're going to skip those 2 stitches. We're going to yarn over, and we're skipping this one. We're skipping this one. We are doing a double crochet right into that third stitch, 1, and then we're going to double crochet into the stitch next to that. We're working up to our peak again. 1, 2. Then you're going to work a large shell into that chain 2 space. This forms our peak. 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2. You're going to double crochet into the chain 2 space again because we're finishing our large shell. Then you're going to walk back down into the valley. You're going to crochet a double crochet in the stitch next to that shell, double crochet into the stitch next to that, we are going to skip these 2 stitches, double crochet, I forgot to yarn over, we're going to double crochet into that third stitch, 1, and we're crochet into the next one. We're at the top of our peak again. We're going to make our peak. We're going to double crochet twice in that chain 2 space. 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2, go into that chain 2 space, finish our large shell. 1, 2. We are going to double crochet our way back down. 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, double crochet in that third, and in the one next to it, again, we have reached a chain 2 space, so we're going to work a large shell into there. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 more double crochets. We're all in that chain 2 space that we created in the last round. 1, 2, double crochet into there. One of these days I'm going to be fancy and I'm going to have 2 cameras so I can have one focused on my hands. 1, 2, we've reached our valley again. So we're going to skip those 2 stitches, crochet in that third one, double crochet in the one next to that. We've walked our way to the top of the peak again, so we're going to create that with a large shell in the chain 2 space. 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. Okay, and then we're going to walk our way back down the peak, down the mountain, into the valley. Skip those 2, walk across the bridge, start walking your way back up to the next peak. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, finish the large shell. 1, 2, complete. Sorry, I was paying attention to stuff that was going on next to me. 1, 2. There is a lot of background noise. I apologize today. Double crochet, double crochet. It's making me lose my train of thought. Chain 2. Finish your large shell. 1, 2, Yeah, it's really interesting. Double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Keep going. 1. You skip 2 stitches at the end of that peak, the valley. Working our way back up. I'm just trying to finish this row. But this blanket pretty much repeats that throughout. Row 7 is going to, our next round is going to be, which I'm going to have to cut this tutorial off. We've reached the hour mark. I will probably try to do a part 2 to this, just because I feel like it needs a part 2 so we can work our way through the whole blanket. It will work up really nice. You see, my glare is really bad today, but it's a nice blanket. That is larger than the baby blanket. The baby blanket calls for about 13 rows. We made it halfway through that with our worsted weight yarn. The more you go, the quicker this works up. It looks like a little flower at this point, but by the time you reach the end of that 13th round, it will look like a 12-pointed star. I also have a 6-pointed star pattern if you're interested in that one. Instead, it's a little more festive for the holiday seasons. This one is just really cute. And you can change the yarn as much as you want. You can put whatever colors into it you want to. I've seen people use red and blue and make a Spider-Man blanket out of this pattern, you know, with the little spider webs. I can show you how to do that if you want. It's just a matter of changing the yarn and knowing when to put the black webbing in after. But if you stop by, I can give you a kit. We can get to crocheting. Feel free to stop by at any point. We're open to ask me questions if I'm here. If not, use the Facebook Messenger to message us or send an email to the director. She'll make sure that I get it. Her email address is on our website. Check out the rest of our events on Facebook that are coming up. Go to our website, see our events there. You can always replay this video if you need to. It'll also be uploaded to our YouTube, which is available right through our website. Thank you for tuning in with me today. I'm going to wrap this up because it seems like it's going to get really busy here and I need to get up to the front desk. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day and have a good holiday week coming up. And I will see you guys next time.